Samuel Martin says, why don't we just bomb their ass back to the Stone Age? Samuel, I had this thought. I think I said it on one of these trifecta segments. Let me make this crystal clear. There's a very simple answer for why we're not destroying ISIS in a weekend. And the answer is because Barack Obama will not launch a war against Islam. He won't do it. People ask, is the president a Muslim? He's not a Muslim. He's an Obamaist. He's an Obamaist. That's all he is. He's one giant ball of narcissism. Now, with that said, he is without question a Muslim sympathizer. A Muslim synthesizer, that'd be awesome. Be a great little rock band. You could do the call to prayer with a moog or something. No, he's a Muslim sympathizer, and he grew up in Indonesia. He said the call to prayer in the morning is the most moving sound he's ever heard, and I believe him. But to say that he's a Muslim is to imply that 5 times a day he gets down and worships Mecca, and to suggest that, that he only eats halal food. No, he's not a Muslim. He's a Muslim sympathizer. He is the product of Muslim parents. His father was a Kenyan socialist. His second father was an Indonesian Muslim. He grew up in madrasas. He went to school in these Muslim schools, and he went to a school in Indonesia, which is the most mild form of Islam, by the way, and that's what he thinks Islam is. He thinks it's Indonesia. It's not just Indonesia. It's also Saudi Arabia, Iran, and Syria. But he can't make that connection. He will not attack Muslims. He won't do it. He will not do it. He believes that Muslims have been oppressed by America, and he will not throw the weight of this country against any group of Islam. Now, in answer to your question, why don't we bomb their ass back to the Stone Age, I am convinced this is a really critical point too. If you want to know what our strategy with ISIS is, in my opinion, our strategy with ISIS is this president is hurting them as little as possible and still survive in office. We crystal clear on this? He's doing as little as he can to make it look like he's doing something, but he's doing as little as he can, because if he wanted this to be over, we know that it could be over. And our great friend Viper Check there says you don't have to bomb them back into the Stone Age. They're already in the Stone Age. Nobody knows better than him. He knows that situation very, very well. But look, the difference between Al-Qaeda and ISIS is Al-Qaeda was a series of terror networks, and they worked undercover, and they basically were designed to cause terror and influence people and all the rest. ISIS, on the other hand, is ISIS holds territory. ISIS has a capital city. ISIS has convoys of trucks. ISIS has armored vehicles. ISIS has technicals with pickup trucks and machine guns on the back. ISIS has troops in the field. ISIS is an army. ISIS's strategy is to take territory and hold it. And the one thing the U.S. military is designed to do is to destroy vehicles and to destroy in-place positions, and we could do it. I keep saying we could do it in a weekend. That's a little silly. It would take us 2 weeks. It would take us 2 weeks. You heard recently there was like a convoy of 100 trucks moving down there. It's like, for God's sake. And then one spot of good news. Apparently, I don't know if it was one A-10. It might have taken 2 whole A-10s. But there was another convoy of some 100 vehicles full of fuel that they were using to sell for money. And you send a couple of warthogs down there, and suddenly that convoy doesn't exist anymore. Russia has hit them hard, but Russia has nothing like the capabilities we do. We heard that the French are attacking. And by the way, when the socialist president of France is tougher than the president of the United States of America, you have a pretty good idea of how screwed up this world is. So, what does that mean? It means that if we were to apply ourselves, we could end this situation with ISIS, as far as ISIS is concerned in the Middle East, in 2 weeks or less. And we wouldn't take a single casualty doing it either. I don't want to take any casualties doing it. We could do this with Predator strikes. We could do this with assets like A-10s. We don't have to worry about an Air Force. We don't have to worry much about a SAM, surface-to-air missile stuff. We pretty much own the air. And the big targets that aren't moving, we hit them with cruise missiles out of submarines or off of offshore assets, or we drop them from a B-52 or whatever we have to do. And then we basically use drones to target the smaller targets on the move. We know where every one of these guys is. I've talked to people who work there, and I'm always super, 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 super careful about not revealing anything, even though I'm sure I didn't see anything classified. But suffice it to say, we know where these guys are, all of them, and we can watch them day or night. We can make them go away anytime we want to, and we don't. And the reason we don't is because the president doesn't want to. He will not go down in history as an American president who used American power to kill Muslims. He will not do it. He's doing the minimum he can to still survive in office. Which the guy gets so cranky about is, if you've got a better idea, then you let me know. I do have a better idea. Bomb him back to the Stone Age, and we'll talk about that in a minute. So look, we have equipment like JSTARS. JSTARS is a ground reading radar. It's similar to AWACS, which scans the skies. JSTARS scans the ground. Anything's moving down there, we know it. We have the means and the assets to just destroy their infrastructure. We can destroy their command and control. We can basically go in there and make sure they can't talk to each other. Now, if you really want to clean this up, you probably have to put troops on the ground. I'm not sure I want to do that. If these people do what I suspect they're going to do in this country, then yes. If ISIS pulls off the kind of attacks I think they're going to pull off, then we are going to have to put American troops in there and clean it up and finish the job and just exterminate them. Just kill them all. And if we lose guys doing that I think by now my credentials as far as the military is concerned should be pretty clear. But I'll just come out and say it because it needs to be said. If it turns out that we have to send American troops into these countries, not to occupy the country, I'm not talking about occupying. If we have to put troops in there to kill people after a massacre on American soil and we lose people, that's what soldiers are for. They are defending the people of the United States of America at home. That's why they enlist. That's why they're warriors. And if we have to send them in there to make sure that the American people don't get slaughtered again after the next slaughter, because one of them is going to happen, that's what they're for. That's why they sign up. That's what they want to do. That's why they're there. They want to go and kill the bad guys for freedom and protect America, and we should give them a chance to do it. So, airstrike to take off their systems, and then we just go in there with special forces guys who are spectacular, and we just go in their little holes and their little things and just kill the rest of them and just knock them out. And then what happens to the middle, right? What happens to the Muslims in the middle when ISIS is just destroyed, when it's just knocked out? Which side do you think is going to win? Which way do you think you would go? What horse do you want to bet on? Osama bin Laden said, when specifically talking about his people, he said if they see a strong horse or a weak horse, they'll take the strong horse. But the problem with Europe is it's not a question of a strong horse and a weak horse. It's a question of a strong horse and no horse. There is no horse on the other side. Nobody's defending. Swedes aren't defending Swedishness. And up until very recently, the French weren't defending Frenchness. The British aren't defending Britishness. They're bending over backwards, showing them their throat, and just praying that they'll cut their throat and put them out of their misery. We're different here. We have a story and we believe in things, and we are still a country that has a plan and a vision and a way for these people to live a better life. So we have to be careful about this. We have to be very careful about this. All right. So moving on, because I got so many things here.